What we are going to do today is talk about BMI and fertility. I think this is a really hot button topic. I get asked about this all of the time. I see it all the time in this group and Be Hormonally Confident, and people being told you need to lose weight to get pregnant. So let's unpack that a little bit and talk a bit more about why it actually goes beyond weight and what truly is important when you get that comment from your healthcare provider that's less than helpful. So I'm going to start with a story of a client of mine that I saw about two and a half years ago now. If you've joined me for the live masterclass, The 3 Secrets to Getting Pregnant, you will have heard partial pieces of this story through there. If you haven't joined me for the live masterclass yet, I highly recommend it. You can see on the screen here the link, the website to join, kelseyduncan.click/live-training. Our next live session is November 30th, 8 p.m. So you can get in, register there. But this is a story I use in that masterclass to show an example of getting support, but I think it's also a really great example for this conversation about BMI. So my patient T, she came to me, it was a couple years ago, like I said. She'd been trying for about 18 months, and she'd gone to her doctor repeatedly, and her doctor just kept saying, I will not refer you to a fertility clinic until you've lost weight. They didn't do any testing. They didn't, do any ultrasounds. They didn't offer her any support at all. They simply looked at her when she walked in the office and said, we can't help you until you lose weight. Come back when you've done that. And she tried. She heard, she wanted a baby. All she kept hearing was, to have a baby, I need to lose weight. And she tried, and she felt like she wasn't ever getting anywhere. That's when she came into my office. She felt like this was her last ditch effort. She was actually on a waiting list for a very invasive weight loss clinic in Toronto that she was actually feeling pretty nervous about going to. She didn't get good vibes. She didn't have good feelings about it, but in her mind, it was her only hope at ever getting pregnant, was if she were to do these very, very drastic measures to help her lose weight, because she hadn't really been successful. So she heard of me, she came in, we put her through the fertility confidence method, but what we really focused on was actually supporting her body where it's at right now. So I did testing. There's no reason to wait until you lose weight to test hormones or to see what's going on and to get an understanding of what's happening in your body that might be blocking you. So we did some testing. We found out from the testing that she had severe insulin resistance and she had hypothyroidism. Guess what? Severe insulin resistance and hypothyroidism, the two main symptoms of that is weight gain / the inability to lose weight. So when she was going home from these doctor's appointments and she was cutting calories and she was attempting to exercise, do you think that was helpful for her? When she had not one, but 2 hormonal imbalances that were telling her body, gain, hold on to it, gain, leaving her in a situation where it's next to impossible to actually lose weight. So when her doctor was saying, go home, eat 1,200 calories a day, come back when you've lost, 30 to 40 pounds, her body was going, not going to happen, because your thyroid is unhappy and you have severe insulin resistance. So you end up kind of riding this unfortunate carousel of losing weight will help insulin resistance, but insulin resistance makes you gain weight. Therefore, it's hard to lose weight. Therefore, the insulin resistance gets worse and you gain more weight. It's the same with the thyroid. Your TSH isn't being managed, your weight tends to go up, and or if you're actively trying to lose weight, you might not necessarily be gaining or continuing to gain, but you might just not be losing. So you're just kind of sitting in a situation where you're like, I'm not eating, I'm moving my body, and nothing is changing. And this is exactly what happened with T. So instead of saying, okay, eat 1,200 calories a day, exercise for 1 to 2 hours, 5 times a week, what I then did was actually increase her calories because she was eating way too less and causing actually more metabolic damage that was going to then worsen the insulin resistance, worsen the hormonal imbalances, and we put in strategies to help reestablish her insulin sensitivity and to help manage her thyroid. We got her on some thyroid medication. Now, it wasn't, an overnight success. She didn't drop 100 pounds by any means, but what she did find over time was that actually eating more, moving her body in a more sustainable and hormone healthy way, not only helped her not feel completely drained and depleted, it gave her her energy back. It gave her her motivation back. It gave her her mental clarity back. She was feeling so brain fogged, not just from, the mood aspects and depression around not getting help with fertility and not getting pregnant, but also with eating not enough. Her brain didn't have the fuel it needed to really function at the capacity she needed it to function at. And she was a teacher, so she had to be on all the time. So we got her body really reestablished from a hormone level. Then we worked on nutrition. Then we worked on lifestyle. We took it one step at a time. And through all this, I think the most important part is her main reason why she wasn't getting pregnant is she wasn't ovulating. So her insulin resistance, her hypothyroidism were actually keeping her body from ovulating. She was having a semi-regular bleed, but she was having anovulatory cycles. So it, on paper, looked like she was having a regular period, but in fact, she was having anovulatory bleeds. So we knew then that either we needed to reestablish that connection, get her body ovulating on its own, or we needed to manage the metabolic dysfunction, manage the hormone dysregulation, and then maybe introduce something like Clomid or letrozole to actually help stimulate an ovarian response and ovulatory cycle. We didn't actually need to go that route because after about 8 to 10 months, her body did start cycling on its own. She did lose a little bit of weight, but she didn't actually lose the amount of weight her doctor wanted her to lose. However, we saw her insulin come down, her TSH came down, her hormone equilibrium reestablished, her body got ovulating on its own, and they got pregnant naturally. So very, very huge success story. She thought she was on her way to bariatric surgery or this really intense weight loss clinic where they no word of a lie, they eat 700 calories a day and do injections and it's not healthy, but she thought that was the only way she was going to lose weight. She didn't understand that the reason she couldn't lose weight was because her hormones were not in balance and she had some metabolic damage in her body. So we needed to actually work on that. We needed to work on the root cause. And this is what I want you guys to think of anytime you think of or hear, I need to lose weight to get pregnant, because there's actually more to it than just BMI and weight. So what we wanted to talk about today was BMI, which is body mass index. And I don't subscribe to BMI as a true marker of health. Some practitioners might not agree with me, some will, but BMI was made way, way back in the day based on research in white males. So if you are, and I do believe, I haven't actually looked into this, I do believe there's also in Caucasian females because there is a male and female BMI. But if you are not Caucasian, BMI is not going to really be factoring you into play the way that it should. Also, BMI, so body mass index, only takes into consideration your weight and your height. It does not take into consideration your muscle mass. It doesn't take into consideration your bone density, nothing. Weight and height, that's all, and age, because then you put it in age brackets. It is not an accurate marker of health. And you can actually be a short, stocky person that's super muscular, but with a really low body fat percentage and have a BMI in the obese category. Makes no sense. So we don't necessarily want to hang all of our hats on BMI. We don't want to let our practitioners look at our BMI and dismiss us from getting help. That is the most important thing I want you to take out of this video today. And with BMI, we do have research in the fertility world linking high BMIs to low fertility outcomes. That research does exist. However, what we actually need to look at it as, instead of a weight issue, as a metabolic issue. What's going on underneath? If your weight is elevated, if your BMI is elevated, do you also have high cholesterol, high triglycerides, high blood pressure, high insulin? This is something we really need to be looking into. If we have this underlying metabolic distress, that is what's going to be impacting your fertility. It's not necessarily about the weight. If we can work and get that metabolic dysregulation under control, sure, you'll probably lose some weight, but that's actually more important in terms of reestablishing your hormone connections and getting that hormone dysregulation under control if that's being caused. So I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comments. Make sure you tag me. I'm happy to go through that with you. And if you are someone who's out there right now listening to this going, oh my gosh, this is what I've been told. I've been told I need to lose weight, or you've, read some things that make you feel like that's the problem. I want you to actually, for a minute, say, my body is doing the best it can. What is the weight potentially a symptom of? Is the weight potentially a symptom of hypothyroidism? Is it a symptom of estrogen dominance? Is it a symptom of insulin resistance and dysregulation? Is it a symptom of poor nutrition and lifestyle habits? Because that's possible. It's possible it's not hormonally driven, but you actually just haven't been taking care of yourself. It's not about the weight. It's about the why. Why is it there? And that's where you need to treat. So looking at weight as simply I need to lose weight, so I'm going to cut calories, I'm going to run, is not going to work. If there's hormone dysregulation, if there's metabolic damage done, that's where you need to focus your efforts and attention from not just a fertility world, but from a whole health standpoint. You're going to not get the results. You're not going to see what you want to see if you just cut calories. That's not how this works. We actually, for men, sure. Men have a much easier hormonal rhythm. They respond to calories and exercise much different than we do as women. We actually need to look at ourselves very differently. All of the research in weight loss and all these fancy fad diets are done in men. They're not done in women. We are different. Estrogen, progesterone, thyroid, insulin, cortisol, all of these are hormones that play a huge, huge role, not just in BMI and weight and your overall health, but in fertility as well. So this is a really important discussion, and I think actually looking at it and saying, like I said, I want you to take the affirmation of my body's doing the best it can. What is this weight a symptom of? And really think about that for a second. Is there something going on underlying that we need to actually manage? And then if there is, I want you to book a clarity call, because these are things that we can help you with inside Fertility Confidence Method. You don't just get access to me daily, every time you need it. Plus we have office hours. You also get access to my resident nutritionist. So if you've struggled with making changes you think you need to make, if you're not sure where to go from here, if you are afraid to eat, if you aren't getting the help and the answers that you're looking for from your current care team, this is where Fertility Confidence Method can really come into play. So I'm going to post the link for the clarity calls below. I think I have one call left for November in my calendar next week on Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. It's going to go fast. So if you want it, grab it now. If it's gone, get in there as soon as you can. And if something opens up, we'll move you up closer. But this is how in demand FCM is we're having a hard time keeping calls open. So if you want to schedule that clarity call, I'm going to post the link when I get off this video here. You can grab a spot with me next week and we can get started right away. And or if you're in December and you want to move up, there's a little checkbox that says if the spot opens up, please email me and we'll get in touch and move you closer. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope you guys all have a very beautiful and wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.